But it is Magic Wand Monday. So now the question is, what dominoes fall for the Cubs after making this trade for Kyle Tucker? We're still waiting on the Bellinger deal, whether it's the Yankees or somebody else. Then it was floated out. We keep hearing about going for another starter, and heavens knows they need another starter. They just do. The arms are too volatile right now in Major League Baseball, even though the Cubs have hired this company that's going to help them stay healthy with the spinning and yada, yada, yada. You have to have tons of pitching. And you just lost Wisniewski.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you thought about Hayden Wisniewski, he was certainly a guy that was usable in the bullpen and usable in our starter role.
Yeah, at the very least, he was a depth rotation piece.
And at the very worst, he was a guy in the bullpen that was usable. I wasn't terrified when he came in. You know what I mean? Like, did he go through some ups and downs? Yes. Yeah, but he also went through some points where he said, man, if he ever puts it together.
Yeah. You said you weren't afraid when he comes in. I think a lot a fans would disagree.
You were afraid.
I wasn't afraid.
Other guys made me more afraid than when West.
I think I was more of a defender than I was a detractor.
I was more afraid of when he was starting that I knew some home runs were coming and he would just. Anyway,
I was more afraid when he came in out of the bullpen than when he was a starter.
But what about the Luzardo rumors to the Marlins?
Yeah.
What would you be willing to give up? Because the rumor that floats is if you're going to get Jesus Luzardo, who has top end stuff but also has some injury problems, and is also lefty, correct?
Yes.
They do have like almost strictly lefties now on the team. It's a new thing. They're just
make a rotation out of lefties.
They call us the Southpaws.
I have a
the Chicago Southpaws.
Do you like that idea? If it's Casey or Triantos, that is the key piece you have to give up.
Okay, so first off, this whole like all lefties rotation, like, do we like that or not? This is my 2 cents on it. All right, and if you disagree with that, I don't really care. That's fine.
Right.
But this is how
I
view
disagree. No, I don't.
Hit the down like for Luke. Okay. The reason that I don't really care about the potential of this rotation being all lefties is that what are the odds of the rotation staying healthy all season with all 5 guys? What are the odds?
Very slim.
Like the 2016,
zero.
the 2016
Zero.
Cubs were able to do it, but as we've talked about for years now, that pitching and injuries with pitchers and stuff, it's so common. It's changed so much. You can't build your rotation off just 5 dudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do we think that Ben Brown could potentially get some starts? I think so. Javier Assad, Jordan Wicks, if he's here, one of those two. I mean, Jordan Wicks a lefty, whatever, but Javier Assad
in that mix.
Killian, yeah, sure. Cade Horton, if he's healthy, he could debut next year. Right-handed pitcher, all right? So I'm not saying that having an all-lefty rotation to start the year is something that I necessarily support, but what I am saying is that it's not the biggest deal in the world at the same time, because I do think that as Council showed in Milwaukee, he did 6-man rotations. And also, like, I just don't see a possibility where all 5 guys stay healthy. I don't see all 5 of them giving you 30 starts. If that happens, then I feel like by season's end, I will be dreaming about the World Series. Okay? And
dreaming for
all
sure.
Right? Let a guy dream, brother, right? But I just think I get the concern. A lot of fans just automatically jump into that. But at the same time, like, the odds of all 5 of them staying healthy, I'm not wishing injury, but it's just,
you expect it because that's just what happens in baseball.
It's irresponsible to think that all 5 of them will be if you're the Cubs front office. So that's my 2 cents on that. Now, as far as Luzardo, would I give up Casey for him? No. Unless you're sending back a massive haul back with Luzardo. That said, pitching is expensive, as we've seen, not just on the free agent market, but even on the trade market. But Luzardo, it's not like his trade value is at its peak right now. He's coming off an injury-plagued season. I've read a lot of comments about getting Sandy Alcantara. He also is coming off Tommy John. Didn't pitch at all last year, I'm pretty sure. What's the difference except for 1-1 Cy Young? But even the year before he had Tommy John, he wasn't good that season either. So I'm here for both of them, one or the other, whatever. But at the same time, I just feel like their value isn't sky high right now. So would I send Casey for one of those two? No. Would I send Triantos? Again, I think if they send back a reliever or something, another player with Luzardo, I can get on board with it. At the end of the day, too, though, we know the market right now. We understand that pitching is expensive. So maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe fans are reading it wrong. And if it is just a one-for-one swap of Triantos for Luzardo, I probably find a way to get on board, because when you think about Luzardo when he is healthy, that is a guy the Cubs have desperately missed, a guy who gets whiffs. Someone was clapping at me yesterday because I said that whiffs is like it. I need a stud, not someone who gets whiffs. Well, then you're contradicting yourself, because most studs are getting whiffs, brother. But, like,
missing bats.
They don't have a lot of swing and miss in the rotation. We talked a ton about that. It's not just me. No. You two are sitting here saying it too. Like, Shota Imanaga probably has the highest whiff percentile of the rotation. But, Steele is a pitch to contact guy. So is Tyone.
And that's why you potentially will now have 3 Gold Glovers in the outfield and 2 Gold Glovers in the middle of the infield.
That's why they've focused so much on defense. But they need some swing and miss, man. They need some swing and miss in that rotation. So I'm not saying that I would give Triantos straight up just for Luzardo, but I am saying that Luzardo would certainly, if healthy, be a absolute stud in this rotation.
Quick question.
Could be for sure.
Quick question for you. If they do end up trading Owen Casey, does that then signal to you that they are going to go all in and re-sign Tucker?
I think it certainly
you understand what I'm saying? He's their most likely cheap replacement in the outfield is Owen Casey. Yeah. So does that signal to you that they're going to have to go all in and they'll risk whatever they have to sign him? Would that be a breadcrumb to re-signing him if Casey's traded?
I don't know. I don't know how much they connect. I would think at least it would feel more like they need to re-sign him because you don't have that young hitter.
And is vice versa true? Yeah. Like, as long as Casey's around, they have a backup plan to not sort of backup.
That or they really
really
like Alcantara more.
Okay. It's a prospect though, like a guy that hasn't played at the major league level, right? So I don't know if I want to connect them too much, because you're talking about a guy who's a 3-time All-Star and a guy who's never seen a pitch in a major league baseball game, right? So I don't know how much they'd connect with each other, at least at the moment. I don't know. Casey looks like he's going to make his debut at some point next year. I mean, I also don't think not trading Casey makes it less likely that they re-sign Tucker, because, again, they're going into this window.
It'd be nice to have both, personally.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, just because they have both.
Of course it would.
I mean, Owen Casey.
And a controllable young pitcher, too, would also be wonderful.
Owen Casey can DH. Owen Casey can play, either corner spot, right? Or, someone may get hurt and you need Casey to step in, right? Like, I don't see the Cubs looking at it as like, well, we got to pick one or the other. I don't see it that way. So I think having Casey around at the very least gives them who they believe is a pretty good depth option in case someone gets hurt or whatever it is.
I also think that this increases Luzardo's value a little bit, and to maybe why fans might be undervaluing 2 years of control for Luzardo. It's not a 1-year thing, and he's 27. It's not like he's 30. So
he'd line up just with half.
He's coming off an injury-plagued season for sure. But 22 and 23, the dude was a stud. Yeah. In terms of strikeouts and being the power pitcher that this rotation needs. So I'm okay if they move on to another name. Like, we could talk about the guys in Seattle. You want to talk about Luis Castillo? Like, there's concerns I have about Luis Castillo as well, but Luzardo is young, Yeah. Like,
I also think you kind of, I don't know if because I don't think trading for Luzardo would stop them from signing Roki Sasaki, because he's going to come at a cheaper contract. But there's also a point where they do have this. I think the Sasaki stuff still has to play out a little bit too before we really know where the Cubs go with the rest of their pitching or any other moves. But that's obviously a month from now. So it's going to be a while. Maybe they can't afford to wait that long. And obviously, adding as many good arms as you can is
why not
never
have
a
both?
bad thing, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that's part of the calculus is just like, where is Sasaki going? Is he going to be a Cub? And what do the Cubs do in the meantime while they wait for it?
We all silly like the mayor.